week weather systems are moving along from west to east. There's one tonight, there's one coming Friday. The Friday one could leave us with a little bit of snow before another brutal shot of Arctic air comes in for the weekend, complete with single digit temperatures and wind. So we'll be talking about all of that and probably a few other things tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which you can support by shopping on Amazon using our referral link that's on the description of this podcast on YouTube. Just use that link to get you to Amazon to do your shopping, and Amazon tosses us a little bit of coin for the pleasure of sending you there, and that helps out because we won't have to run commercials on the live Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast if enough people do it. And it doesn't cost you 1 cent out of your own pocket. So if you're shopping on Amazon, use our referral link. And Tempest by WeatherFlow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link for this is pinned to the top of the chat board tonight. It's also on the descriptor of this podcast on YouTube. And we have a coupon code, a special Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast coupon code, Joe Rayo.
Winter 2026, Joe Cioffi, and you use that and you'll get 10% off anything you may like to purchase from the good folks at Tempest.
We were so busy weather-wise for the second half of January that this calmness is kind of grating on me. I don't know why, but it's very, I mean, relatively speaking, it's very quiet. There's not a whole lot happening from the standpoint of adverse weather. And even though the brutal cold has taken a break, it's still cold by you.
Well, we did not hit freezing today. We came 1 degree shy of that. We got 34 yesterday here at the home base. Today, 31 was our high. And it would have been nicer if we had a bit more sunshine to work with. We kind of lost the sun mid-morning with quite a bit of cloud cover, but those clouds have apparently retreated now. Going to have a generally fair, clear night tonight and a bright, sunny day tomorrow. And I think tomorrow we may very well get to or above freezing. These days near or above freezing, I mean, not exactly warm, but certainly they feel a lot nicer than what we were dealt for 10 days going back to a week ago, Thursday. And you're right. It looks like it's going to turn sharply colder. I think we'll get through this week okay, but sometime during the overnight hours of Friday night, Saturday morning, sharp weather front is going to move through with perhaps a few snow showers, maybe even a isolated snow squall in a few spots, and then it turns blustery, very blustery, windy and cold for Saturday, and for Super Bowl Sunday, in a word, cold. Although I will say one thing about Sunday, Joe. I think the winds will be slackening off quickly on Sunday. The day that really is going to be tough to be out and about will be Saturday.
Yeah, and we're talking about single-digit lows Saturday morning, Sunday morning, and probably Monday morning as well, and possibly even Tuesday morning, depending on how long the cold air hangs in, because it is going to hang in a while. It's going to have to wait for something to push it out. In the meantime, as far as the snow for later Friday or Friday night, I think there's a chance that there's a chance I think we could see area wide of a coating to an inch or so. Between the Arctic front and then there's a low that's offshore, which is really not getting involved, but it sort of helps the trough along. It's a pretty sharp upper trough coming through. So I'm kind of thinking on the idea of maybe an area-wide coating to as much as an inch. I would think that would be the absolute most.
It does not look like a major storm system. It does not look like a major amount of snow, but, there are a lot of places that have blacktop now for the first time in a while after the big storm of last week. And it would just, after a few days with temperatures near freezing and there's a little bit of melting going on, it would be a smack in the face to see even an inch of snow or less than an inch of snow on driveways and streets and side roads when you wake up on Saturday morning. And the last thing I think you're going to want to do when you look out the window and see that is head on out and clear it, because again, Saturday is going to be a bitterly cold day with Temps in the teens, winds probably gusting past 30 and 40 miles an hour, probably chill factors below zero. Um, Winter is certainly here, Joe. It certainly has made its mark in 2026.
Meanwhile, in all of all places, in Cuba today, this morning, they recorded a temperature at the freezing mark for the lowest temperature in their history, believe it or not. Got down to
Wow.
32. Yes, I don't know exactly. I saw the name of the town. What I don't know is if it was in one of those areas where there was elevation. But I mean, either way, for the fact that it got down to the freezing mark in Cuba, I believe Havana was shooting for 38 on one of the news stories that I saw. I don't know what it actually got to, but I mean that's incredible. I mean, just shows you the magnitude. Relative to normal, the coldest air was actually in the south and southeast. I mean, it was cold enough up north, but the bigger temperature anomalies were basically in the southeast and in Florida, and that cold air made it down. We saw yesterday, we were looking at temperatures in the Yucatan Peninsula, which were only in the low 50s. I mean, that's ghastly.
Yeah. I guess people who live in Cuba where the temperatures dropped into the 30s, I mean, they don't. I don't suppose they have heaters that they use. What would they need it for? So it must have been kind of to step just as step outside must have been a shock this morning with those temperatures all the way down there. But yeah, it's pretty amazing.
The folks on the chat board who are very smart to point out uh, that it was Indio Hotue, Cuba, 32 degrees this morning. Thank you, Rich Rothmansky. And I think also thank you. Oh, the chat board moved. There was one other person that put it in there. Coin Pig, who watches us from the UK. Thank you very much, CoinPig. Welcome to everybody on the chat board tonight, and those of you who are lurking in the background on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. We're here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. and the occasional Friday and Saturday. If there's a storm around, we'll add a show and we'll let you know. So subscribe to my YouTube channel, turn your notifications on so you don't miss us. And if you like the show, of course, hit the like button. Uh, a lot of times when you go through an active period, well, much of the time you go through an active period, and when it's done and it's spent, the atmosphere is out of gas. So essentially, uh, things have quieted down, and they look like they're going to probably stay quiet at least for a little while. We'll have these cold air masses coming in, uh, as we still going to see the one over the weekend. And as far as major storms are concerned, it is fairly silent nationwide. Check out the watches and warnings map tonight. We do have some winter weather advisories up for a few counties in West Virginia. If I can finally get this map up here for you, folks, just give me a moment. There we go. Yeah, so there you have it. Northern Kentucky, northern West Virginia, a few counties in southeast Ohio. I was looking at the forecast there. We're generally, an inch or two at most, and that's it. And there probably will be a little bit of snow in northern Virginia and southern Maryland as this disturbance just kind of moseys along. There's fog in western Tennessee, north central Tennessee, southern Kentucky, northwest Mississippi. They still haven't recovered completely from the ice storm in northern Mississippi from what was that now, 10 days ago. And we have also some fog issues in eastern Arkansas. And the rest of the country really uh, very, very quiet. And here's the 4 o'clock surface map. Another weather front is approaching with slightly colder air behind it for Wednesday and Thursday, but there's not a whole lot with it. And then we have this weak low that's running across Arkansas into Tennessee with a frontal boundary. 20s to the north of it, 50s and 60s to the south of it. It's warmed up nicely in the southeast. Joe, my snow cover, almost 6 inches of snow cover gone, almost all gone within 48 hours. And I mean, I got to like right now it's 43. I think I made it to upper 40s here today. But it is amazing, even in a tree covered area that I live in, that the snow this and it was because the water content of the snow wasn't very high, it has melted away. The last of the icicles on my house are still dripping, but they're going to be gone before the night's over because I got rain coming.
Well, it's you mentioned about special, advisories or whatever for places that are still getting a bit of wintry weather. Here up here in New York, our weather service at Upton has put out a special weather statement for patchy black ice that they say is possible through tonight. Water on sidewalks and roads have been observed in some areas from afternoon snowmelt. This could cause slick conditions on untreated surfaces as the water freezes this evening, and they just simply advise if you're going out, use caution. A good piece of advice.
By the way, yeah, I mean that's an ongoing problem now with temperatures that get back to the freezing mark. That anything that does melt is going to for you guys is going to refreeze during overnight periods. Florida did a nice recovery today after lows in the 20s and 20s to mid 30s this morning. They managed to get into the 60s just about over the entire state, so that was a big plus because the cold weather certainly taking its toll on Florida in many different ways, uh, especially for people who want to bring their barbecue grills inside for heat purposes, as we discovered on the cold weather advisories that were issued. But no matter. Here's our weak system going out to our south. There are some clouds. You said you got out of the clouds. That looks like some clouds are coming back in. So you might cloud up again as you go through the evening hours. And that might be the one issue over the next couple of days. How much cloud cover is going to be around from time to time. I kind of phrase it as no worse than partly sunny for most of the time.
I called it clear to partly cloudy. I actually think that these clouds that are moving in on us will be around for a little while this evening, and then they'll move out again after midnight. And there was some talk of some snow maybe, but that if there is any kind of snow or flurry or snow shower activity, it's going to be probably confined to the south. And once it passes on through, tomorrow it should turn out to be a bright sunny day.
Yeah, there's some stuff aloft on the radar tonight over Pennsylvania, northern Pennsylvania, north of 84, and on up to Albany. Some precip aloft, maybe a few flakes are making it to the ground. Certainly making it to the ground in parts of north central New York down to about Syracuse. You can see the green echoes there. And then we have this area to the south, where on the northern fringe, we've got some light snow, but we also have some showers and some rain moving through eastern Tennessee and now into the northwestern corner of Georgia. So I will probably be raining here before too long, and that'll get rid of what's left of the snow cover. Some heavier rain is falling, relatively speaking. I mean, it's not a big deal here. Running down through Alabama, southern Mississippi, and back through Louisiana, where we even have a couple of thunderstorms in the mix. And the rest of the country really is kind of quiet. Way up in the Pacific Northwest, we got a little bit of rain, but that's it. WPC has little or no precipitation for the next 7 days. So they're not really overly impressed by Friday. So I guess they didn't put anything in. I still think that we could wind up with a coating to an inch in some places, but mostly dry off the coastal areas of North and South Carolina. You see an area of half an inch to an inch, and much of that is going to be coming through tonight and tomorrow because there's a second wave of low pressure, and that's why you saw all those showers back through Alabama and Mississippi. Those will be moving into the southeast tomorrow, and along the Gulf Coast, a half to three quarters. A little busier in California up the Sierra Nevadas with uh, half an inch to an inch and a quarter there of liquids. Probably in the higher ups, it will be snow, and also on up the coast of Oregon and Washington, where we have uh, some inch and a half plus areas spread out over the next 7 days. Uh, I'm not seeing anything on the overall pattern that suggests any kind of important storminess anytime soon. It's a cold upper air. We still have uh, these two upper lows, one in southern Hudson Bay, the other one even further north, and this deep trough that runs from the Arctic all the way down into off the southeast coast. And this is for Friday, by the way. So this is going to bring down that next shot of brutal cold air that's going to come in for Saturday and Sunday. And the trough eventually does lift out, but takes a little while for that ridging to get back in and seems to re-strengthen a little bit once it goes over Atlantic Canada and points east. We still have blockiness going on up in Greenland and into northeastern Canada. The upper flow gets a little more westerly next week, but there's still some troughiness and little upper low that forms midweek over Lake Superior, so that gives us a little bit of a cold air connection. The one change I'm noticing, though, is that for later next week, we do have, for the first time in quite a while, probably since back in December, we have troughing from Alaska down to the west coast. And usually that means that the east would warm up. But again, because we still have all this stuff going on in the upper air over the eastern part of the United States, it's going to really limit how much warmer it gets. I mean, I think we're probably maybe adventure our way back to normal at certain points next week. But as far as the big warm up is concerned, I'm not really seeing it. And then, of course, the troughs come back into the east later on in the forecast period, right around President's Day holiday weekend, which would be kind of interesting. Some The upper air on the models have been kind of pointing to that particular weekend as where something might want to happen. And then beyond that, we're kind of in that no man's land again. So we're going to take this a step at a time. I I'm sure you're on the same page with me as far as any kind of major storm systems are concerned.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be, basically a quiet weather pattern. And, I was looking at the long range outlook and the differences between the GFS and the European concerning the holiday week, President's Day holiday weekend, not this weekend, but the following weekend, as to whether or not there's going to be a coastal system that may possibly bring significant precipitation our way. The GFS wants to go that route. The European says no, it looks like that's going to stay too far out to sea. But again, we're talking about something that may happen, more than a week away,
Oh yeah.
almost 2 weeks away. So things are going to change. Things are going to be in flux. We'll see how it all pans out.
Just for laughs, though, I'm going to just pull this up. This is what I've got the European up for tonight. This is 8 o'clock. So I'm going to go back. You know, I'm going to go back to a week ago. Okay, a week ago, which should have no, that wouldn't have taken us far enough. So go back to last Wednesday. Okay, so this is what the weather map is supposed to have looked like based on last Wednesday. This is what the European said it was going to look like at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Okay. Cold, big high up in eastern Canada, area of snow from the Dakotas down to Kansas, and a little rain in Oklahoma. Um, and what did what did it turn out? If we look today at today's, nothing like that was 144 hours ago. I mean, total. This is why you got to be really careful when you look at these maps. You can always, you get a sense of what the overall pattern is after about the fourth or fifth day, but clearly the models were kind of way off. There's no snow in the Dakotas down to Kansas. Okay. There's no 1035 high sitting in eastern Canada. It is cold in the east, but there's no 1035 high there. Instead, it's in Minnesota. So what is it off by 1,000 miles? You know. So again, you got to be careful when we see this stuff in the long range. But the overall, I kind of have a feeling though that the second half of the month is going to be busier, just like the second half of January was. I think the second half of February is going to be busier from a standpoint of storm activity. That's my guess.
All right. Well, I've often said that it's difficult to maintain any kind of a pattern for any long length of time. Um, you always seem to get a break, and we may be seeing a break. Ironically, We usually see a thaw in the latter part of January, the so-called January thaw. Maybe this year the thaw will wait until sometime next week during the second week of February to arrive. But in any case, I agree. There's going to be we've seen a lot of activity, far more activity this winter so far than any of the other winters over the last 4 or 5 years. And I think you're right, Joe. I think we'll probably going to go back to another active weather pattern, perhaps as soon as later on this month. We'll see.
All right, and this is what Friday looks like with the upper air. Actually, this is what it looks like on Wednesday. Um, Short waves are there, but it's all diffuse. The north and the south are just kind of separate. They don't phase until they're way out in the Atlantic. This is a short wave. It's going to move. You can barely find the one that's moving offshore tonight. So there it is. I mean, here's the one for going into tonight. So, I mean, you can barely find it there in the flow in the southeast. And there's an upper low that's swinging across upstate New York. That brings down another little cold front. And then we have a second short wave, and this is going to go out on Thursday offshore. And of course, that misses the northern stream short waves that are diving down. Here comes one for Friday, and then a powerhouse upper low that dives southward. So it's from these short waves that we could see, I think, a period of snow Friday evening into the first part of Friday night, and then the Arctic air just comes rushing in behind it, and this deep trough along the East Coast for Saturday. This is the thing when you look at these things, Joe. You got a phase and a negative tilt, but it's about five degrees of latitude of longitude too far to the east. So all the action with the coastal low that develops here is going to be offshore. So it's going to be really about this upper trough, which is impressive, and it'll swing through, and that brings down our colder air, and it is going to definitely be cold. Although this time around, for you folks in the southeast and down in Florida, some of the cold air is going to bleed southward. It almost always does, and you kind of feel it at night, especially in areas in the southern Appalachians on up to the Western Carolinas and Virginia, maybe even in the Eastern Carolinas, where you get down to the low 30s and even 20s. But then you'll rebound during the day. The bitter cold air is going to basically be from Northern Virginia northward, particularly New England down to New Jersey, Pennsylvania, southeastern New England. That's where most of the cold air is. And then I guess the next thing after that, there is a little diver, which Europeans not picking up on too well. Doesn't go out far enough. But the GFS kind of showing a little bit of a diving system early next week. You see it here Sunday night. Something coming down in the northerly northwest flow with some snow Sunday afternoon in Michigan into Pennsylvania and Virginia Sunday night into Monday morning. But the bulk of that winds up passing by to our south, assuming that uh, you know assuming that the models are correct. I'm not sure. All of them seem to pick up on this, but a couple of them don't even show any precip with it. The GFS seems to want to develop a little bit of snow, so we'll keep our eyes on it. But that's really about the most between the Friday system and if there's anything Sunday night or Monday. That's all we really have going forward for the next 7 days.
But again, a nice little break, a little respite, a winterlude. May I use the non-meteorological term, or a winter mission, if you will.
All right. Well, I have Briller Jeopardy tonight. Are you ready?
I'm all set to go.
Okay, so we are continuing the average snowfall in the month of February for these five cities, and we're going to start with Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio, Joe.
Well, Cleveland, of course, is a place where they can get Lake O's and what did we say for Buffalo last night? I'm trying to remember.
Oh, it was under
Person,
20.
but still, depending upon how the wind blows, the lake effect of Cleveland could be a lot different than the lake effect of Buffalo. Um, now let's take a as Bugs Bunny said with the Gremlin. Let's look at it. Uh, um, I will say for Buffalo, excuse me, for Cleveland, um, I'm going to say 21.
21. 21 is too high. I was too high for Buffalo too, but Rich Rothmansky with 15 is the correct answer, Joe. 15. Harold Olson at 14, Frank Scalera at 14, and Mike Waterhouse Bodzai at 14 all get an honorable mention. Okay, Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. What could we possibly go with them? Well, how about for Indianapolis? How about 12?
No, that's too high. Michael McGuire and Harold Olson and Rich Rothmansky got Indianapolis Joe and Magnolia P and Frank Scalera 7, and Carol DeCara at 7. Louisville, which is
I
not the
will say,
capital of Kentucky.
yes, I know. 6.
6 is a good guess. It's a little too high. And oh boy, Harold Olson, Patrick Darcy getting it this time at 4. 4 for Louisville. Next on the list, Joe, is Denver.
Oh God, Denver.
I don't know if
The
Maggie
place,
P is on. Has Denver even gotten 8 inches of snow this winter for the season so far?
Denver's been in a snow drought of sorts, and I think Salt Lake City as well. In fact, I posted something on my Facebook page a few hours ago that there are parts of the southeastern states in the Carolinas, Georgia, that have seen more, even Florida, that have seen more snow than Salt Lake City has this month.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. That's really weird. Um, so Denver. I'll say 8.
Yeah, because I said 8 before. I said 8 going into it. I said, did Denver even get 8 inches of snow this year? So I gave it away. The answer is 8. So you can sort of give yourself a bell ring for picking up on the fact that I, gave the answer away, if you'd like.
No,
No? You're going to pass?
I don't think I don't think I deserve a bell ring. All right, I'll give
Hartford.
myself a bell ring. I'll give a bell ring. There you go. We're at
Hartford.
70. We're at 70 likes. I'd like to get a bell ring for 100 tonight, but I'm not sure if we're going to get there tonight.
Probably not. Hartford.
Hartford. I'll say for Hartford, I'll say 14.
Oh, very close. Price is Right close. Um, uh, few of you. Okay, Patrick Darcy just got it at 15. 15 for Hartford. And the bonus tonight is Syracuse, New York, which is having a
Oh God.
gangbusters year. I think they're well over 100 inches so far this year.
I'll say for Syracuse, I'll say 16.
Ah, way too low for Syracuse. Bobby Livingsworth 53 is way too high. Adam Lowe at 28 is close. Um, James Davidson, you're too high at 35. Um, the Michael McGuire, you're closer at 32. Rich Mansky, you're even closer at 31. And that means that the answer is no more guesses. Patrick Darcy came in with another guess. 30 for Syracuse. And there you have it.
And there you go.
And there you go. So I got nothing else going on. My snow is melted, so that's you know what? I'm kind of happy it did because it was beautiful. I mean, don't get me wrong, I really loved it. I took some great pictures. But I was sort of at the point yesterday where I nearly fell twice in my front yard walking the dog. I was like, okay, this needs to go away now. Okay. And sure enough, I mean, it does go away pretty fast here. Unfortunately, you're still in an igloo up there.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to get shoved into the igloo again, even more so this weekend. I have a feeling that when we get to Saturday and even Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, we may be, especially Saturday, at least up here in Putnam Valley, we may have a tough time getting out of the single digits for a high temperature,
Right.
and it'll be almost as cold on Sunday. Midpoint of winter, by the way, astronomical winter occurs this evening at 9:54 p.m. And Joe, I neglected to mention that yesterday was the 50th anniversary of a very potent storm system that passed on through the New York City area 50 years ago on Groundhog Day 1976 was also a Monday, like it was this year. Most self-respecting groundhogs were looking for their fur coats and not their shadows. New York City experienced a flash freeze with temperatures dropping sharply from the 40s at 4 a.m. 3 hours later at 7 a.m., the temperature at Central Park had fallen to 17. Half an inch
I
of rain
remember
fell
that.
before half an inch of rain fell before I had one of those thermometers. I was living in Throgs Neck and I had a thermometer that would record the high and the low, but I could actually see at five
You,
o'clock in the morning, looking out my window and seeing the rain literally right before my eyes changing to snow. But the thermometer I could see dropping. I
yeah, I know.
literally
I
could
had the same.
watch it as it was falling.
You and I didn't live. We lived fairly close to each other, even though we didn't know each other at the time. But I had a thermometer just like that too, and you could watch the mercury go down. It was really cool. I
It,
remember that day because
it was
everything froze
half an
instantly.
inch of rain fell before changing to snow about an inch at Central Park by 8 a.m. But the rain soaked pavements and winds were gusting to up to 50 miles an hour. And that shut down all the airports, LaGuardia, Kennedy, Newark, all shut down because of this amazing. And by 9 o'clock, the sun was out. But
Right. And I
it was an
remember the
incredible.
hourly temperatures were went from 55, 45, 35, 23, 15, 10, and at 9 a.m. we hit the bottom, which was 9. That was
Really,
that that was crazy.
it was a
And
crazy,
actually,
crazy morning.
it was not that much in the way of snow that fell. It was really about all the rain that fell the day before. Everything was wet and it just froze. And I mean literally just froze like instantly. It was crazy that day.
And if you talk about bomb cyclones, I mean, this storm once the cold air got in, it started to interact with the cold air. It just bombed out, and by 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, there was a low pressure system just southeast of Cape Cod, 28.50 inches, and
Yeah.
dropping like a rock. And that was what caused the sudden changeover to very cold weather, rain to snow, flash freeze. It was amazing. That was again 50 years ago, which really
Eastern Long
makes me
Island
feel
got a
like
foot
this.
of snow out of that.
I remember that morning like it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, me too.
It was
Me
incredible.
too.
Yep.
All right, we're gone. So everybody have a great night, and we'll be back tomorrow night at our usual time, 7:35 p.m. Eastern. Bye
Have
bye.
fun, ladies and gentlemen, and have a good evening and stay warm.